When I look around at other students taking notes in classes, I see the same thing. Copying of what the professor says verbatim, identical annotating of the slides, and rampant multitasking through answering text messages, looking for a new set of clothes on Amazon, or watching a football game. We're never taught how to take effective notes before college. I didn't even take notes in high school. In this video, I'm gonna show you how I use Obsidian before, after, and during class to create distilled question worded notes I can use to study, how I link notes between classes together, and finally, how I compound my knowledge across semesters to form massive magnum array. This is my personal note-taking style, and I don't recommend you force it on yourself if it doesn't work for you. The personal in personal knowledge management is often forgotten. First, let's talk about what you turn into if you take notes the way most students do. I call it the cookie cutter student. The cookie cutter student is the student who only follows note-taking principles, taking notes on other people's ideas rather than note-making. And this leads to their knowledge base becoming nearly identical to all other students taking notes in the same way. In the long term, the cookie cutter student tends to become disconnected and bored with their academic life. They have no deep-seated interest in their classes because none of the ideas in their system are their own. So how can we avoid being the cookie cutter student? How can we bring note making into our lecture notes? Well, I've developed a system of note taking for all of my classes that has been working great over the last year. I call it conceptual note making. Let's talk about what conceptual note making is. Conceptual note-making is a form of note-making, which is a term coined by Nick Milo in the PKM community, that involves taking notes in your own words. So instead of the predominantly sequential note-taking format that most students do, you take notes on individual concepts and link them together. Linking them together is the most important step. I'm of the belief that there are no true disciplines in the universe, only concepts. If you think about it, all disciplines, biology, neuroanatomy, behavioral statistics, American history, etc., they're just highly related concepts linked together into a coherent and more easily digestible form. If everything we can learn is a mix of interrelated concepts, then it makes no sense to treat notes as isolated. And yet, that's exactly how most students treat their note-taking. Conceptual note-making means your behavioral neuroscience notes on dopamine might get linked to a note from your own independent reading on social homeostasis, as you can see with this picture right here. Your notes on the differences between emotional fecality across cultures from your social psychology class might get linked to a note on attachment theory, as we can see right here. And your notes on information consumption in the age of the internet might get linked to your notes on the Lindy effect, and a whole bunch of other related concepts in personal knowledge management. To link my notes, I personally use Obsidian, but there are a whole bunch of other personal knowledge management apps out there. I find Obsidian works the best for me and also makes that linked-based structure a key part of the entire process. I won't be explaining how to use Obsidian in this video. There are tons of other videos on that, so I'm hoping you already at least have an interest or a background and can go off of that. But I do recommend checking out the beginner series by community member Nick Milo, who has done a fantastic job outlining how to use Obsidian when you're first starting. Now, before I show you the exact nuances of my process, let's talk about why conceptual note making is so awesome. There are three big benefits to conceptual note making. The first is you can link concepts together from different disciplines, allowing you to build an infinite library. The second is you can engage in deep processing, and the third is it adds joy back into note taking. Let's start with the first one. So linking concept together allows you to build an infinite library, a unique collection of ideas built upon the foundation of your unique combination of family, background, education, experiences, and genetics. There will never be another you. Because we live in an age of information abundance, knowledge itself is no longer as powerful. Rather, it's the perspective you bring to it that matters. And linking your notes provides the perfect means of expressing that unique perspective no other person will link in the exact same way as you. Engage in deep processing. One of the best ways to increase the natural strength of encoding when forming memories is to connect new information to pass knowledge. By linking to old notes in your system, you engage in deep processing, which makes it way more likely you'll obtain the information later on. And finally, you can add joy back into note-taking. A few weeks after I started conceptual note-making, I noticed my joy and curiosity for learning increase dramatically. I started noticing connections between classes where I was never looking before. I wake up most days with wonder of what I will find after journeying into my system that day. So let's get into the process. How do I actually do this conceptual note-making before, after, and during class? So at the beginning of the semester, I'll create a new note and title it with the name of the class. Then I'll fill it out with all the topics we're gonna be going over in class using the course homepage. So let's do my social psychology class as a walkthrough for the process. This is the homepage for my social psychology class. I can go to it in my system right here. Here it is. Which probably looks a little bit different from when I took the photo, but that's because I've taken more notes. And by drafting out the lectures at the beginning of the semester, I get an idea for how the progression of information is gonna work. So on any individual lecture day, I'll open up my note for that day's lecture and add in my standard new note template. So if we go to HD 2810, and let's say we're doing a lecture on aggression, and then I'll go and use my shortcut for using templater, and I'll add in my standard lecture template, which changes all the time. So it's probably even different than the template I'm going off of. But as you can see here, it has an up tag right here. It has a tag section. It has the main title of the note in heading 1. It has a related section and then a resources section. So the up section right here, this is where I just link simply back to the class that I am taking the notes for. And that allows me to really easily, if I'm in the note, just simply click on it. Now I'm back at the class. And I really like just being able to go that fast between notes. This tag section right here is where I can put the state of a note. I use this a lot more for when I'm taking notes outside of classes, but it's still helpful to have on every note in case I want to talk about the state of it. And then this related section down here is meant to try and get me to engage in linking out to other related notes to this note on aggression. And then finally, this resources note down here, I can put any podcasts or articles or papers or anything that are resources for the notes I made in this note. So that's my note template. So while I have this note open and it's during class now, there's something very important I do, and that is I don't write down what the professor says verbatim. Doing so would be ascribing to the cookie cutter methodology that we were talking about earlier. Instead, I wait about 20 seconds to a minute before I even think about writing anything down. And then once I feel I have the cognitive load of having too much information in my brain, I distill what my professor said in my own words and take inspiration from the popular note-taking method by trying to frame the note in sort of a question. So let's see how I did that with some of the notes that I took in evolutionary psychology. So if we go over here, we go to evolutionary psychology, and then we go down. Here it is. All right, so let's use this header as an example right here. So evolutionary psychologists, just to give a brief explanation, believe that the fundamental thing motivating human action is a replication of genes in the next generation's gene pool. There were 3 main arguments brought up against evolutionary psychology, and while taking notes, I actually framed these like questions. So let's look here. If we open this up, what is the naturalistic fallacy? What is the argument of attraction? And what is social structural theory? So when I toggle these headers, I can see the answer to the questions that I wrote in my own words. And because they're worded like questions, I can use them literally as a form of studying. And if I'm studying for the classes later on, like a week or a month later, or even for the final, these lecture notes are perfect for group study sessions or even alone study sessions. What is the argument against attraction? What is social structure theory? All have their own answers. And the best part is if I ever need to add in a slide to support my answers, then I can very easily do so by just taking a nice copy and snip and then putting it down in the relevant place that I need it. Taking notes in this way is a massive step up, but these notes are still isolated to the class we were taking notes on. So to do the conceptual part of conceptual note making, you have to ask yourself the 4 questions of peanut butter godhood. I like peanut butter if you can't tell. So these 4 questions are, what does this remind me of? What is this similar to? How is this different from? And this is important because once you've found an answer to one of these questions, write it down and link to another note in your system, or even create a new one. As you can see, the above notes that I went through in the naturalistic fallacy right here are linked to 2 notes. And the naturalistic fallacy is basically the belief that everything natural is good, and therefore that evolution gives us good things all the time. Now, this reminded me of a note that I made in my system of not everything natural is good, a belief that conflicts with many of the only organic food eaters of today who make their claim off the admittingly terrible Western diet. Now, if we click on the note, not everything natural is good, that brings us to a whole nother note with links to my evolution mock. I'll explain what mocks are later on. Links to Nazism, the survival of the fittest, nutritionism from a book that I read called In Defense of Food. Food is more than the sum of its parts. So much interesting stuff. And we can even look at the backlinks view of this tab to see what notes it's linked to. And you can see that it is linked to my evolutionary psychology notes, and it also has a few unlinked mentions in how I write conceptual lecture notes in Obsidian, because I mention the note's name, but I don't link to it. And that's another really cool thing about using Obsidian to create lecture notes. As you write down notes for classes, even if you don't create a link out of them, they might pop in unlinked mentions in the notes that you take, which later on can allow you to connect to them. And here's a view of the outgoing notes in my Not Everything Natural is Good. As you can see, tons of stuff that I just mentioned from before. And we can even take a look at the local graph view for more spatially oriented people. This is my note on Not Everything Natural is Good. As you can see, everything gets connected to it is being highlighted. I have my local graph at a depth of 2, so I can see where this is connected. And you can see my evolutionary psychology note is over here, connected to a whole bunch of other stuff in evolutionary psychology and other related stuff that isn't evolutionary psychology. I got my evolution mock, and then In Defense of Food. So it's just a much more visual way of seeing. If we click on In Defense of Food, my book note on Michael Pollan's book, we can now see that, wow, this is linked out to a whole bunch of other stuff, like my nutrition science. What's this over here? Oh, my book on burn, which is a whole book about metabolism. So you see how we just went from evolutionary psychology, a note on the naturalistic fallacy, to nutritionism, In Defense of Food, the science of metabolism, all related in some way to evolutionary psychology. And it just becomes slightly harder to find that relation as you go out, but still related nonetheless. Isn't that so cool? So to sum up my conceptual note-making process, it goes like this. Wait 20 to 60 seconds before distilling notes in your own words as a question. Reflect on the 4 questions of peanut butter godhood, and then link to other created or new notes in your system. If you do this for an entire lecture, you should have a lecture note that is connected to a whole bunch of unique connections. Here's my local graph of my whole evolutionary psychology note. This is my notes on the brain and behavior, which is getting into my behavioral neuroscience class. And then here's some notes on the Western diet. It is just, oh my God, there are so many connections being made. Now, here's where it gets really cool. Do that for every lecture in social psychology or in one of your classes, and you will have a massive interconnected knowledge base. Look at this. Here's the same local view of my entire page for my class on social psychology. Look at that. It is becoming a foundational part of my knowledge, to put it simply. And if we go to another one of my classes, if we can find, let's see here, HD 2230, my behavioral neuroscience class, it's the same story. Look at that. Whole bunch of connections to things that are forming the foundation of my knowledge. So what do you do with these notes after the class is over? Like I said earlier, by framing notes in the form of questions, they become perfect for studying off of, like a flashcard or short answer question, or alone in groups. And by continuing to refer back to them with links over time, you naturally go through spaced repetition as a form of studying. It's important to remember that the initial lecture notes you make during class don't have to be perfect. You can make changes to them over time. And as you go through your classes and learn more, you will naturally find holes and issues with the notes that you took earlier on. I like to change things opportunistically, altering small things every now and then, and when they come up, instead of going back through my notes in one heavy lift. Now, one thing I did want to take a note on is for STEM classes, the big difference between my note making for STEM and for more non-STEMmy classes is that I try and predict the answers to professors' questions beforehand. Let me elaborate. So after an explanation of something, professors in STEM classes will often go through example problems on the board. It is useless to write down what the professor writes and save these examples in your notes, because simply looking at an example problem that's already been solved does not help you in understanding how to solve the problem. Instead, you should try and do the problem yourself in your head or on a spare piece of paper, and then you can check your process alongside the professor while they're doing it. So using this method, you know exactly what to take notes on, because if you stumble on a particularly part of the problem that's hard, it's clearly something you're struggling with conceptually. Plus, it's way more active than just watching them do the problem. Using my conceptual note-taking process, I'm building a unique, interconnected body of knowledge, a culmination of my personal ideas and interpretations of my classes, own thoughts, conversations, and information consumption outside of school. Instead of going from semester to semester with a clean slate, having forgotten everything from my previous year, I connect knowledge from my classes between semesters as well. In effect, my knowledge compounds, growing more and more useful the more notes I have rather than less. While I can't guarantee that this note-taking process will work for you, I strongly encourage that you try it out for a few weeks at least. Be sure to check out my video on how I create book notes inside of Obsidian. That'll help you learn how to integrate knowledge outside of class from reading books into your knowledge. As always, have a fantastic rest of your day, and bye-bye.